Hey, we got 4 more orders. I need you to get done back there.
4 more orders? I'm slammed back here. I can't take 4 more orders.
Look, we got Portland Palafins versus the Martian Mantines. That needs to be well done, and I need that on a plate with a nice side. And then on top of that, we have another order. This one's rare. We have the Blood Moon Bears versus the Hoensbroek Hunters. And then...
No, come on. I can't do that
now. There's 2 more we gotta do. We gotta do a nice and well done Bayou Bellibolts versus the Don't Drop That Dedennes. And then the last one is the Spook Man against the Shamal. We need to get those orders in.
I don't have time for... I can't work under these conditions. I'm gonna go smoke crack in the parking lot.
That's not what smoke break means. Welcome back to Double Dip Draft, Week 2 of playoffs. We are both hosts. I'm Cabral. Someone's joining me.
What? Okay, well, you got to give me your team name.
Well, I can't do that first. I got to tell you who I am first, and then you got to tell me who you are, and then
okay,
I'll tell
Cabral,
you.
I'm Spood, yeah, and then you're...
Well, you're the coach of the Southdown Sand Slashers.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. I'm the coach of the Southdown Sand Slashers, and you're the coach of the Hatchling Age of Slashers, and we are back for top 8 coverage. This is playoffs week 2, and neither of us made it, so you are stuck with us for the rest of playoffs. Yippee! You'll also notice that the other 2 hosts did in fact make it, so I hope you didn't get too used to hanging out with Nick or Aurora, because they are gone.
Yep, and you won't even see them for the finals, which will be live streamed if we've done our cards right later today when you're watching this video.
That is correct. We are hoping, fingers crossed, everything, working out the way it's supposed to, that we have started this premiere such that when it ends, it will be within like 5 minutes of the stream starting.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you're having a great double dip time, this is top 4 pre-game lobby. Definitely consider sticking around to the end and checking us out on twitch.tv/SpoodSSBM for all that live top 4 action. The VOD will also be posted on this YouTube channel once the stream is over, but that is not what we're here to talk about right now.
No, but be sure to grab some popcorn and some drinks because we got some fiery matches to go over. Looking at top 8, and top 8's always an adventure, I will say. Usually you see some of the best, and you get to see people like those big best players finally fighting each other. Often in the other divisions, when you have for the first place, you don't get to see them fight until the very end.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hope, right? With a bracket seeded kind of, ideally, you will have all the best players fighting at the end. We kind of, in theory, when we were seeding, we were hoping we'd have like 2 to 3 really notable players per division, and then everybody else was kind of, be kind of a cut below. Ended up being a lot of people had breakout seasons. A lot of things got shaken up in a really profound way. And, even that being the case, like we do have a couple of people, I would say really only one of these matches really to me screams top 8 just based on like both participants. And that's not to be like catty or insulting. I mean, I'm just very impressed by the deep run that we've got a lot of new faces here. And I'm really excited to elaborate on that when we get to their matchups.
Yeah, but before we get to those matchups, we actually are going to go over let's just say classic, not quite a classic. I don't know if Nick, coach of the Bayou Bellibolts, versus Bananas of the Don't Drop That Dedennes have fought before. But
they have.
Oh.
This is their second time fighting.
Ooh, okay. Nice. Well, this is a very good match. I'm excited. These players have been just really good throughout the season, and their teams are just really strong overall.
Yeah, I think by seed, we only really saw Nick drop to 1 uncharacteristic loss, which was he lost to Madcapster, which by seed was not expected. Otherwise, he had pretty much as rock-solid standard a season as you could expect. Placed pretty much exactly where we imagined he might. I think he got out a 3rd in Aqua Division, so... that was where he was seated, below Aurora and Vic, both of whom are actually on the opposite side of the bracket. So
that's really fun.
We'll see if we see any more Aqua Division infighting as we get into the top 4. But for right now, he's going to be fighting Bananas out of the Rocket Division, somebody who I think, again, only 1 kind of uncharacteristic loss. I would say Bananas is a little bit more... I don't know if I'd say expected, but, Bananas dropping to Nihilus is not like a massive upset to me. I think Nihilus is like a really great player and someone who is somewhat undervalued by like the power ranking. Like I think personally, just based on vibes, I might scoot the whole set of like Bananas, Nihilus, and Not Pimp up by like 3 or 4 spots. They're all really, really good. So otherwise, Bananas looked really rock solid out of Rocket, only losing to Menma otherwise, who, again, Menma had a bit of a tear during that main season. So all of that is to say, both of these guys, like, of the 4 matches here, this is the one where I'm looking at it and I'm like, it makes sense that both of these guys are here.
Yeah.
I am not at all surprised. This does look like a potential top 8, top 16 match. And I'm really excited to see how it plays. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on the team preview, though.
Yeah, I do love seeing Ice Terra on the Electrode. I think it goes really fast. It's faster than Bundle. It can come in and just be cheeky with Gligar. Thunderbolt is actually really nice to just spam into this entire team and Volt Switch. Other than, of course, Gligar, but that's why you're Terra Ice. Tentacruel is always just surprisingly bulky, and Reuniclus is just a menace if it gets set up, and Bananas has been able to do that quite a bit this season. I do like seeing also the horse having a Water Terra. I think is really solid into this whole team. I don't see most things dealing with a Water Terra horse.
Well, I think it's kind of polarizing because if you're Terra Water on the horse, then it's kind of an opportunity cost thing. Like your Electrode becomes a lot easier to play around.
True.
It should also be considered that although Bananas doesn't seem to have any immediate like electric or grass coverage, Iron Bundle does get Freeze Dry.
True.
So if you go Water type, then you are exposing yourself to Iron Bundle a little more. And Freeze Dry is definitely coming on account of that Urshifu, which is definitely a real pest. Honestly, Reuniclus looked really, really strong. It did get like one game where it just absolutely snowballed, but otherwise we haven't seen it do a whole awful lot. It does have a very awkward speed tie in this matchup with Glastrier and does serve as one of the potential better defensive options, especially with its own Terra Water. So I could see that speed tie being very relevant depending on how both players trained their Pokemon. We could see potentially some creep where one side maybe gets a little bit of an advantage. Otherwise, like you say, Electrode looks really strong into this team. I'm just kind of hesitant about, like you said, Gligar. And really, I think Mega Altaria looks particularly strong. I think Mega Altaria does a pretty decent job into like most of this team except Glastrier and Florges.
Yeah.
And even then, like, depending on, what kind of bulk the Glastrier has, whether it's like fully spec'd out into bulk or whether it has like mostly offense, I don't know. We could still see that matchup kind of swinging either way. But I like looking at this, my immediate thought is, wow, Mega Altaria looks really good.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I think at this point, though, there's not much else to say, and now we have to watch.
All right.
Yeah, Owlbear comes out first, and Reuniclus also starting.
See ya.
Goodbye. Oh, well, goodbye.
Yeah, surprised to not see a U-turn from Urshifu. It often runs it, so not seeing U-turn.
Yeah.
I guess it's not the most surprising thing ever, but you could glean maybe some information from that. Yeah. Ruination, really nice. That basically just Super Fang signature move of the Treasures of Ruin, and it's very nice into bulky things like Gligar. And we see it's also the Whirlwind set again.
Yeah. I mean, it does a good job just switching things out. If there was a Sash on Bundle, it gets rid of it here. And just takes hits. I mean, Gligar already down to 39% because of rocks.
Yep.
And Nick just chipping away.
Just keep going for Earthquake, or not Earthquake, Whirlwind. Yeah. We see what might look at first glance to be a bit of a silly play, where we see a Swords Dance out of Aegislash, but it makes a lot of sense. You don't want to necessarily go attack mode if you can't kill it and then expose yourself to a really strong Earthquake. So he Swords Dances to essentially hedge on, either Whirlwind happens and he doesn't lose a whole lot of positioning, or he gets off the Swords Dance, lives an Earthquake handily, and then can kill after.
Yeah. And then we do get a static off on the Tentacruel as well, which is kind of nice because that thing is surprisingly fast. People don't realize that it's a speedy little guy.
Yeah, this thing has very high speed and very high special defense, and you'll notice that it just really likes both of those stats. It lives 2 Psychic Noises in a row. That's a super effective hit.
Yeah.
No full para proc, but yeah, the static making it slow is very annoying. You see another Swords Dance, and Nick opts to sack Tinglu, basically.
Yeah.
Kind of hoping that he doesn't Swords Dance again. If he does, then he might be able to get some kind of like safe hit with something else, but we're going to see Surging Strikes into a Rocky Helmet, and we also reveal that this thing is not a pads variant.
Mm-hmm. Turn coming out and doing 30% to the horse. The horse sure does take hits all day, doesn't it?
That is a bulky horse. Bananas also goes for a read here, hoping basically that Nick might Terra or try to predict another switch, but Nick just decides to go for the Avalanche, and it does pay off, getting rid of that Mega Altaria, and things are looking kind of White Low favored right now.
Yeah, we still do have Bundle in the back to go fast and hit a little hard, but... and
this also is very funny, because this just revealed Reuniclus Calm-Minded first, and then after that, we saw Glastrier move first.
Yeah.
And actually, they're speed tied. They keep taking turns. 2 of the times Glastrier went first, 2 of the times Reuniclus went first, and they reveal in chat they both ran 8 speed EVs to creep the other person. So it was a speed tie anyway. We see one last thing. Castleberry comes in, allows Pomni to live that Shadow Sneak, and now it's looking pretty much a wrap. This looks like it is a Scarf Bundle. In fact, it has to be, because that was a speed boosting Blacephalon.
Yep.
We know that Terra Ice will resist and not be able to be frozen, so it's pretty safe to just Terra Ice, Thunderbolt. Terra Blast takes out Gligar, and then this thing lands a Scarfed Hydro Pump, but that Hydro Pump is not going to be able to seal the deal into Owlbear.
Yeah.
And a Drain Punch is all it takes to give that win to Nick.
Very well played by both players, and is this Nick's deepest run or no?
He has made it to 4th one other time. He got 4th in Season 2 in that weird jank double elimination playoffs bracket that we ran. That there were like, it was a 12-player season, I think, like 2 divisions of 6 or something. It was a very weird season, very old.
Gotcha. So it's been a while since he's made it this far.
Like 7 years, yeah.
Gotcha.
So if he ends up just totally, bustering out and going 0-2 in this top 4, he'll still be tying his greatest performance ever. So this is a really fantastic run from Nick. And Bananas looked very scary there. It's just basically the speed ties, he lost the ones that mattered, and Nick got all the reads that he needed to make correct. Mm-hmm. And really just, Bananas just was not having an easy time positioning around what Nick had, and ultimately I think Nick just had him beat at team building and did not choke the necessary pieces to lose it. So really great stuff, seriously, from Nick, and great run from Bananas, but he is gonna go on home.
Cannot believe that double dip is almost over. There's only so many matches left. I love watching when we get to these higher end, or I guess end of season matches with these higher end players. I think there's a lot of fun that we have in there. There's a lot of just, I don't know, things that just happen. It feels a little less RNG related sometimes in some of these matches compared to how regular season went. Not that they're still not RNG, but the plays feel different,
Well, it's a treat, it's good players fighting good players. Like, there's always kind of this paradox that, sometimes it's really scary to fight a brand new player, because if someone ends up with like a really good team, but they're hitting buttons kind of with like less information than maybe they should have, it might come across to perhaps the salty veteran player that, my opponent's just hitting all the right random buttons. There's obviously more nuance to it than that, but I do understand that as an argument for like, fighting a new player is really stressful, because I just don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to make an informed read or an uninformed read, or if they're going to understand that they're playing aggressively or passively or whatever. Whereas when you get into these top 8 matches, by and large, the people who've made it this far know the game, know the game state and the board state, and know kind of how their opponents work and what kind of things they're going to be looking for. And really, I would say the exception of that, to an extent, is going to be found in this match, which is Aurora, coach of the Hoensbroek Hunters, versus Bick of the Blood Moon Bears. Both of these players draft veterans, but specifically Bick does not have a history in double dip draft. So unless you're really willing to go and find a different league with different rule sets under, different formats or whatever, and watch Big's replays there, all you really have to work with is what you've seen from him this season, and he's looked very consistent this season, whereas Aurora has a mile-long list of replays that you can go back and study if you want to.
Yeah. And looking at team preview, both these teams are kind of wild. Masquerada actually is kind of crazy into most of this. Flower Trick and Triple Axel go crazy, especially if it's like scarfed or however fast it is.
Masquerada is a really great Pokemon. That Protean damage increase is really great. Flower Trick has some very wonderful utilities, very spammable, especially into a team where the defensive backbone looks a lot like a guy named Swampert, and that's pretty much it. So, we see, like, even into something like Zapdos, you could see a potential Triple Axel, although obviously that's risking getting static, but there's no like one-size-fits-all answer to Masquerada, but it also becomes kind of a high-value target, and Masquerada really likes to be banded and scarfed and sashed, so it's kind of difficult to know exactly what Masquerada wants.
And on top of that, by the way, Iron Treads is looking really good when you start to look at Aurora's team, because you see Fairy Terra on Pangoro, and it's like, oh, actually, that thing with Earthquake Ice Spinner goes really hard.
Here's the thing that's difficult about that. A lot of people will run these very physically bulky Zapdos sets, and I could see like a Heat Wave being, kind of annoying, especially, risking that burn chance, or just in general, like it's hard to heal up your Iron Treads. So the longevity of it is going to be based on, do you have a Citrus Berry? Do you have your leftovers? Maybe are you running like a Pinch Berry or something? Big is a hungry team builder. This guy needs to eat a Snickers because he has a lot of berries on his teams often, which is not a bad thing. I should clarify. The berry strat seems to be overwhelmingly working, given that he's gotten into playoffs at a 6-1 record and continues to maintain obviously a flawless record, having just come off of an explosive 6-0 into Metropic right before this, whereas Aurora, she's been kind of limping ever since week 2. She did make it into playoffs and has been obviously making a good run, notably defeating Claire, which is not an upset per se, but Claire's a fantastic player and a very tough draw for round 1 of your playoffs bracket.
Yeah. And
Aurora made it look pretty easy. So I would say both of these players are coming at this with a lot of momentum, and I know that they were both pretty anxious to get on with it, and frankly, so am I.
Yeah. I am as well, so let's go ahead and get this started. We get a Zapdos lead, and then we also get a Terapagos lead as well.
Yep, Terapagos, very good Pokemon. We overvalued it last season. Now it's actually getting quite a lot of play. Also, we see an immediate turn 1 Meteor Beam. See ya.
Yeah.
We will also see
doing 81 to this thing is wild.
Yeah, Terrastar Storm really hurts, but at least what's nice for Aurora is that Mold Breaker Drain Punch is going to bypass the Terra Shell. But oh my goodness, dude! This thing does so much damage!
And that is 1 Pokemon gone and 2 really hurt because of Terapagos, so not on a back foot per se, but it's a good thing Aurora took that out when she did, because that could have been...
I mean, I would say that Aurora's on the back foot here, because that was a lot of early pressure from Vic, and Aurora's had to use up quite a lot of tools to equalize this. Yeah, goodbye Citrus Berry.
Goodbye Akaberry.
Akaberry. I'm telling you, dude, he loves his berries!
Don't run Bug Bite against Vic.
No. What do run Bug Bite against Vic? Yeah, so this is tough. Basically, Swampert is a really reliable switch-in because it blocks the Volt Switch. Aurora just, like, bets the farm on this being Scarf, which it makes sense given how scared she thought Vic might be of her own Scarf Naganadel. But she was not Scarf, and neither was he! And him missing that 3rd Triple Axle is pretty devastating.
Yeah. Because at this point now... Aurora picking up the pieces, and with Dedennes being down to 22% HP is really rough.
Yeah, and that was a great read too on the Terra, just to drop that Thunderbolt. Does a ton of damage, chunks Dedennes really hard.
Yeah.
Iron Hand's forced to close combat, takes some Rocky Helmet chip. Oh my goodness, look at all that. One of the rare moments where Mega Mawile can just raw outrun something.
Yep. Healing Wish coming in to heal up Omnibot once again.
Yep. And Big does identify that, like, this endgame looks like Iron Treads for sure.
Yeah.
Levani comes in, does not kill it, but reveals its own scarf and tricks the scarf over. Eats an ice spinner. Well, it doesn't eat it. I mean, kind of just folds to the ice spinner, but now it's locked into ice spinner.
Yeah.
Aurora eats the ice spinner, gets off the drain punch, and actually, because she outruns the Diancie in the back, that is going to be the end of Big's run. That was a really complicated and dense set of turns at the end. Essentially, the shortened version is, Aurora was threatening bulk up, because if she had bulked up on the Diancie sack, then she would have won. But if she bulked up into Iron Treads, just attacking with Ice Spinner, 2 more Ice Spinners even after a bulk up boost from the second one, would have been enough to kill it. Whereas, obviously, she went for just the direct Drain Punch. Big opted to stay in and go for the Ice Spinner, and it ended up being that Pangoro holds on and manages to clutch it out to the very end.
And I don't know the calcs for the what Big saw right on his own calcs with Ice Spinner, if there was a chance to Oko, or if it was a roll that was really bad. I don't know the specifics on that, but either way, really close match, really good match, played well by both players.
Yeah, I think that's got to sting if you're Bick. He definitely got the short end of the stick in terms of luck. His triple axle has not been the most reliable thing off of Meowscarada this season, and certainly him losing his Meowscarada and then taking 70 on Diancie from the missed triple axle.
Yep.
That's pretty tough. Like, that changed the tide of the battle quite severely, and I would be pretty surprised if Aurora had won had she not dodged that third triple axle hit.
Yeah. But that's it.
But that's a hell of a run from Bick out of his first double dip season, getting all the way to top 8 and looking pretty untouchable in division. I mean, I think that's a guy to keep your eye on going forward.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually so excited for, and I know we're not there yet, for next season, right? I think it's going to be bigger to a degree, but the level of players we now have playing in double dip, and there's so much, I don't know, there's so much attention it's gotten from season 8. And I'm very excited to see where it goes after this season.
Yeah, it's really great. I really don't see us moving past 32 players, but definitely the interest is high.
I have to edit another set of 2 videos.
Now we're doing, what is it, 38? Or no, it'd be 40.
Yeah,
it would be 40 players for the next 8-player division. So maybe you do 5 recaps a week. Why not? 5 recaps.
Well, regardless, though, we have to finish up this season. And to finish this up, we have Shamal of the Golden Gate Gibles versus Spoopman of the Heerlen Hawluchas. And we have the same team we've seen pretty much every week.
Yeah, there's not a lot of variance here. I mean, these guys are both running just weather the team. Yeah. This is a very classic, rain versus sand. Spoopman potentially has an edge at team building because he's got 2 weather setters, so it's a little easier, if you wanted to keep rotating Hippowdon, Tyranitar, it would be potentially easier to juggle the rain. And we've seen basically all of Shamal's losses up to this point in division came from somebody getting Sunny Day off.
Yeah.
So, I think that the weather just is an infinitely important part of this puzzle. And I think Vincent, he basically just leaves it on the table, says, I'm good with just bringing the Tyranitar. He's got tech, in the back for these different Pokemon. But
yeah, I mean,
we're also just seeing...
looks terrifying in this whole team, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're seeing the classic sort of folly here, which is that, past Cradillie's water immunity, this team just really, really struggles into combination water ice coverage. And Barraskewda, Liquidation Ice Fang has that in spades. Especially again if you get rid of that Cradillie Storm Drain. I could just see so easily just brainlessly clicking flip turn every time you have a chance, and I don't know how you'd really stop him from doing that.
Yeah, and I think there's not much else to really say on team preview. I think it's just kind of getting into the fight itself. So we got a T-Tar lead, set up Sand, and Rillaboom lead. Maybe click and Drain Punch. It gets close combat too? No.
I mean, it gets Woodhammer, which I think is a pretty easy click. Drain Punch is probably going to be better. You don't need the extra help to beat Tyranitar, and certainly not in the 1v1.
Yeah.
We see Terra Bug. That crit body press, very irritating for Shamal, I'm sure, because that doesn't make it a two-shot, but that does chip it quite substantially for future hits.
Yeah, clicking Draco's nice right there, dealing with this thing.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. This is a very specially bulky Renarius as well.
Mm-hmm.
Dodges the Will-O-Wisp, but it's kind of not the end of the world. It's a little bit of chip. It's annoying to kind of have to waste that turn, but speaking of wasting turns, we love protecting through the rain turns. You know, lets you scout. Something that Vincent and Claire love doing is just hit and protect and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised we didn't get Barraskewda here, because close combat, I think, actually would kill Cradily. And the rain is up.
That's true. Spookman already has used up his Terra, so you can't see poison from this. And you see Vincent not keen to let King Gambit get behind a substitute, opts to sack this Cradily and get some of that Rocky Helmet chip as well.
Yep. Rain's now gone. Get a low kick.
See a low kick. Fun fact, low kick only does base 80 into Archaludon. That thing is not very heavy. We see a mixed, like, special attacking Tyranitar, which actually works very well because Archaludon notably has very, very low special defense. And so actually after a stamina proc, makes a lot of sense.
No, it does. Another miss, unfortunately. We get the Will-O-Wisp and the Paramiss.
Yeah, that is a much more severe miss, I think. You really want to make this thing slower, give it that potential to not move.
Mm-hmm.
But we see a U-turn. Pelipper comes back out. Really, again, we're not seeing a whole lot of movement from Rodriguez, and it's just kind of passive, you know, getting his leftovers, killing these turns.
Yep. It's
actually, in this moment, I'm kind of surprised to see a U-turn instead of just another Scald. Like, he doesn't really have a switch in, and Scald is shown later to be capable of killing from around this range, so...
Yeah.
I don't know why he didn't click it.
I imagine he's probably not checking calcs, maybe? I don't know. I'm also surprised we still don't see Barraskewda coming out right now, because rain's up.
Yeah, Barraskewda is very free. Again, with no Cradily, like, just click...
Liquidation.
Click flip turn, man. Or liquidation. I mean, shoot, pick your poison.
Yeah, there's the Scald, and it kills. And it's just...
Yep.
We spent a lot of time and turns just not doing that. There's no pressure being applied, and I think that's one of the things we talked about earlier in the season with some of the newer players. Another Raw Thunder.
That's awesome. That's an amazing knife. That is so funny that between the Raw Thunder plus sand damage, it actually just does kill it.
Yeah. It's a crazy set on that T-Tar. It's a very fun set, actually.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I guess if you're trading the Thunder Wave miss for Raw Thunder hit, like, I would take that.
Yeah.
This is a questionable Endure.
I agree with that, because you can't do anything. Maybe he forgot he didn't have his Steel rock typing anymore, but he's Bug, he die.
Yep. Shamal, getting the Grassy Glide reduces Bolt Beak's damage if it landed, but even without the, just interrupting moment, like, does a lot of damage anyway.
Yeah.
And Shamal reads this switch into Armaldo. That is a really risky read. Sucker Punch really probably should have been the thing he clicked, but he just knew in his heart what was going to happen here, and he went for it.
Yep.
And from this point, Barraskewda does make sense. You can just hit close combat. If he does end up switching into Dracozolt, thank you, my goodness. He doesn't live one, and at this point, all you gotta do is sack the bird, get your rain back up, and watch the Barraskewda fly.
Yep, and that's it.
Yep, that's all she wrote. That is Shamal into top 4. This is his first double dip draft season. And I mean, that's, he's picked up wins now on Claire and Vincent, who are both like really, really premier players in the league. So, I mean, he's here, he's doing it. You know what I mean? Like,
making that deep run.
Pelipper, Archaludon, Barraskewda, man. Like, King Gambit, that's what's up.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show how great Barraskewda, Pelipper. I had those Pokemon when I think my first season I had those, and I adored them. They're fantastic.
Yeah, they're really, really great speed control. I mean, it's just a pretty well-built like Rain Core, and Shamal is playing it. We're seeing it. Again, it was a very tight game as far as like the differential goes, but that matchup just seems so hard for Vincent. It's just that kind of team where like sometimes if your team just can't hack it, there's not really much that you can do besides just your best.
Yeah.
And ends up being that now Vincent is out of double dip draft, finishing in 5th place.
Man.
But that's the past. Is not that the past?
That is not the past. Well, no, it is the past now. Sorry. Yes. Now we're in the present with our final match.
Now we're in the present with our final match. We got Portland Palafins versus Martian Mantines. Hey, welcome to Top 8. Martian Mantines, I think this is the deepest run he's ever made. He did get into playoffs last season, but I think he lost in round 1. I'm just rattling that off the top of my head. I apologize, but again, another deep run. He's just come off of beating Kenneth in round 1 of playoffs, and that is a big high-value win. And just the fact that he made it out of Rocket at all is kind of a miracle, given how much of a mess that division kind of became at the end.
Yeah. No, for sure. And then from both players, we see kind of roughly the same teams again. A lot of teams will kind of develop their little like molds and kind of what they do and how they feel, and the players will kind of get used to certain strategies they have available to them with their teams.
I think we're seeing, Drapion looked really, really strong last week. We're seeing Quackleval, which doesn't come all the time, and we're also seeing Illimize on the other side, which doesn't come all the time. But it makes a lot of sense to me why both might do it. Especially that like Prankster Encore does go behind a sub, so it could prevent an Oricorio sweep if it is played appropriately. Although the Oricorio Terra Dark is something to consider given how it interacts with Prankster. We'll touch on that later. But otherwise, like you say, it's a pretty cut and dry set of Pokemon into each other. Most interesting thing, to my opinion, is like the Terra Grass Typhlosion looks kind of interesting. It would be pretty decent into the Quackleval if that was something that he was worried about. Kind of forcing that 50-50, like, is it going to hit a fighting or a water type move? Because if it tries to hit a fighting move, predicting the Grass Terra, then it's not going to do anything to the Ghost type. But if he tries to hit a water move and he gets the Terra prediction wrong, then potentially opens himself up to being burnt.
Yeah, and I know Scoots has brought Terra Ground on Oricorio on, I think, 3 separate matches, so it could have also been for that potentially, too.
That would make sense, although, I mean, we've seen it run Icy Wind and Air Slash before, so both of which are fine. I'd be kind of surprised not to see them. At least one of them on the moveset, so... but that's kind of where we're at. I think that we should go ahead and just see if Scoots remains on his winning streak or if Black Captain can put a stop to it.
We will have to see. Immediately going into Slowking and taking an Alluring Voice to the face. Surprised we didn't get a Dragon move?
I mean, that's a fairy move. It's quad effective, so it probably breaks through. It ignores a Haban Berry if there is one, and it probably just still overwhelms a Roselli Berry. I mean, it's got mega stats.
Yeah.
Getting a Paralysis on Clefable is really nice, because if it's Magic Guard, then obviously a Poison and a Burn, they're not going to be doing you much, so you might as well get a Paralysis.
Yeah.
Also, Pursuit, that's the Nat Dex special, isn't it?
Yep. I think people kind of forget about Pursuit sometimes, because it sure do a lot of damage when you're not prepared for it.
It's a great move that just hasn't been in the game for a little while, and so people just kind of aren't prepared for it when they're on Nat Dex, or maybe they're just going to concede, like, hey, you know what, like, I got to try and get this switch, otherwise I'm dead anyway.
Yeah.
We see a Thunder Wave instead of a multi-attack, allowing this thing to get a pretty good knockoff chip.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised.
And that does bring it in range. Ooh, but there's the multi-attack. With
a big crit.
That crit helps a lot. Brings it in range, actually, of this Hydreigon, which we see reveal its own Choice Scarf, and that Dark Pulse certainly would not have been able to do the do. Otherwise, he would have had to lock into like a Draco Meteor, allow in a potential Clefable. You know, that turn could have played out very differently.
Yeah, and then we do see Falco come out here, Terra Dark, and then we get the Quiver Dance, and then with Revelation Dance, and we do see Illumise here trying the Toxic, and the interaction we've seen before.
That's that Terra Dark, and that double dipping on the on the getting that wrong. It's just weird, man. I know. Why do dark types ignore Prankster? I don't know. That's a pretty specific thing, but that's just how it is.
Yeah.
At this point, there's not really a whole lot else that Black Captain can do. He had maybe a potential chance to get up a screen or double into or Shifu or something like that, but ultimately just lost whatever momentum he might have had on the back-to-back whiffing the Prankster move, and that puts Scoots at a comfortable 4-0 victory and going into the top 4.
Top four. I think I'm ready to hear our final players who are ready for top 4 matches.
Top 4 matches. Well, on the first side of the bracket, we have got Scoots of the Portland Palafins facing off against Aurora of the Hoensbroek Haunters. And on the right side, we have got Nick of the Bayou Bellibolts facing off against Shamal of the Golden Gate Gibles. This is a left side of the bracket that I'm like, that makes sense. I look at the right side and I'm like, huh? You guys have made a deep run, much deeper than we were expecting, you know.
What a time.
Off the right side of the bracket, you know. Yeah, like, you'd expect to see, like, Vincent or Bananas or maybe Widowwood me there, but this it did not shake out that way, the way that this bracket went.
Yeah.
There's interesting dynamics at play here, too, because I'm going to start with the basically Doomer assessment, which is that looking at player head-to-head matchups, Nick is currently 0% win rate into Scoots and 25% win rate into Aurora. So his odds against whoever he fights, either in Grands or Bronze, are not looking fantastic. Conversely, Shamal has no match history into any of these players, being the only skull that's made it this far.
And we've talked about more experienced players and their struggle against some newer ones, because they're not going to click the same things you expect someone to click.
Right. I don't know if you have to worry about that so much against Shamal this deep into the bracket. I'm sure, I know he's getting a lot of prep and he's doing a lot of practice, and, again, his team is very, very solid. So, you'd be doing yourself a disservice by not respecting him up to this point. But I will say, the odds between Scoots and Aurora are actually 50-50. They have a dead even win-loss against each other. So I'm excited to see how that one plays out. Could really go either way. Best case scenario, I think, for Nick is he beats Shamal and then faces off against Aurora and manages to pull off that 25% win rate. Maybe makes it a little better. Conversely, Shamal is a total wild card for any of these players. And really, I think if we're going to lay our cards on the table here, it's looking like a Scoots victory.
I think I agree with you. I think it is likely a Scoots victory this season. But we're going to have to wait and find out for the live stream. I hope you're all ready for that. We're going to have a really good time. Please, you got some time right now. I don't know how long it is until the premiere's over, but get some popcorn, get some drinks, and you'll be hearing from Spood and I in actual minutes again.
Yes, please go on over. It's going to be in the description. If I don't forget, we've got twitch.tv/SpoodSSBM. There's going to be a ping in the Discord when this premiere starts, and then also when the stream itself starts. So definitely pop it open, tell your friends, get comfortable, and I would like to apologize to the Europeans in advance. I'm sorry it was so late.
Don't worry, they'll get us next season.
They'll get us next season. Next season, I'm waking up at 2 in the morning to play my match.
Let's go. All right, but that's it. That's all we have for playoffs, and it's just now we get to see the dippies. Now we get to see the finals, and I'm very excited. Thank you all so much for joining us on this whole ride, and we will see you in just a bit.
Yep, we'll be back soon.
Bye-bye.